Today we're continuing at the Piedmont battlefield and are now at the spot where the 54th Pennsylvania broke through the Confederate lines. The 54th Pennsylvania let out another great shout and drove the disorganized 60th Virginia back into the woods. So the 54th Pennsylvania would have come up over directly in front of us, about where that blue silo is. They would have used that ravine to sneak into the flank, as we explained in our previous video, and hit the right flank of the Confederates right where we are at right now. Chaplain Pyle wrote, "They charged the breastworks with a yell that takes the foe by surprise, poured into them a withering fire." Musician Sneeden recalled, "Here both armies received their greatest losses. The two lines of battle were not more than 75 yards apart, each pouring lead into the other with good effect. Corporal Kaufman remembered, we scaled the works and used our muskets for clubs, and a hand-to-hand encounter ensued." Colonel Campbell added, "Here for a short time a most desperate struggle took place. Bayonets and clubbed guns were used on both sides, and many hand-to-hand encounters took place." An officer in the 54th Pennsylvania remembered, "Most desperately did our foes dispute the ground, but just as determined were our men to gain it. The bruised bodies and heads of the wounded sufficiently attest to the desperate character of the fight. Clubbed muskets was the mode our men adopted." Colonel Campbell continued, "So sudden and apparently so unexpected to the enemy was our movement on their flank that they were soon compelled to give way in great confusion, despite all the efforts of their officers to rally them. A Confederate officer attempted to rally his men by shouting, 'Newmarket, Newmarket, remember Newmarket.' An officer in the 54th Pennsylvania yelled for the men to shoot the officer before he rallied the panicking Confederates. Several men fired at the officer, and he fell to the ground. The attack caused the Confederate left flank to collapse, and the survivors fled to the rear in panic. With the Federals seemingly all around them, the entire Confederate line started to unravel. The color bearer of the 45th Virginia ran to the rear when he noticed some Confederates running from the 54th Pennsylvania. He attempted to rally them. Private Thomas Evans confronted the color bearer, who he later said seemed about the size of a full-grown grizzly bear, and smacked the flagstaff with his bayonet, stinging the Confederates' hands. The two struggled for the colors, but Private Evans eventually took the color bearer prisoner and secured his flag. For his efforts, Private Evans was later awarded the Medal of Honor. And that monument that you see directly in front of us marks the spot where the Confederate General William Grumble Jones is going to be shot and killed during the attack of the 54th Pennsylvania and the 34th Massachusetts into his flank. The Federals continued their jubilant pursuit of their routed enemy. Confederates trying to escape down Cross Road or into the woods ran into the 54th Pennsylvania. Others ran down the steep riverbank and into the Middle River. The desperate Confederates waded across the river and across the open field on the opposite bank. As Colonel Toburn and Colonel Moore's men fired into them, Chaplain Pyle recalled, "They are driven into the river. The water is colored with their blood." On a bluff overlooking the river, the men of the 54th Pennsylvania captured a large number of Confederates who did not want to risk the river crossing. And the steep bank leading to the Middle River is that second row of trees. You can see a row of trees, then a field, and then there's a larger row of trees behind it. That is the top of the bank. So the Middle River is just below that bank. One prisoner included Colonel Jones, commander of the Confederates' 1st Brigade. As the 54th Pennsylvania pursued the Confederates, musician James Sneeden demanded Colonel Jones's surrender. The Confederate officer turned over his sword and revolver. Musician Sneeden turned his prisoner over to Lieutenant George W. Camp and continued rounding up prisoners. Musician Sneeden, who took up a rifle and joined the attack, also received the Medal of Honor for his actions here at Piedmont. General Hunter's army reveled in their victory as shouts of celebration echoed across the fields and woodlots. For many, the Battle of Piedmont was their first taste of victory. General Hunter joined in as the Federal bands played in celebration. Chaplain Pyle remembered, "Cheer after cheer goes up, and the hills and the woods ring with the sound of victory." Many in the 54th Pennsylvania tended to their wounded comrades, while others prepared something to eat for the first time since their hurried breakfasts at 5 a.m. that morning. Corporal Kaufman wrote, "We camped for the night on the field. We slept on the Johnnies' blankets and ate their corn cakes. Sergeant Bryan triumphantly recalled, "We got sweet revenge for the licking we got at Newmarket." Thank you for watching this episode of In the Footsteps of the 54th.